I talk about policy issues on this show all the time. Tax issues, national security, border security, foreign policy, environmental policy, all sorts of policies, always rooted in the idea that the idea of America is that was created, and America was created uniquely by our founding in the Declaration of Independence, the right of people to live in liberty, and the Constitution that was structured, created the structure of government intended to protect that liberty. But other issues also shape America's culture and fabric, and they're more kind of social issues, or they're not particularly tied to a policy, but they still go back to the kind of leftist mindset that I'm always trying to expose and denounce, because leftists are always about control, and leftists are always about disintegrating various aspects and gifts and greatness of the American culture. The left is always about destroying the unique greatness of America. So I want to talk about feminist lies. And, I'm really almost out of time today. And driving here, I was thinking, this topic doesn't really fit with everything else we're talking about today, but I just want to plant a seed and say, I'm going to try to be talking about these topics more. Because there is in this country, the feminism movement, which was, to be really clear, I'm in favor of women, equal access to education, equal access. I'm a lawyer, equal access to education, equal access to jobs, fairness in employment, that you can't discriminate based on sex in what you pay people, or who you promote, or who you hire. That I'm in favor of all the equal access to jobs. But part of what feminism did, in addition to pushing those things, which I view as good things, was denigrating some aspects of womanhood and some aspects of the unique differences and wonderful differences between men and women. It was kind of a kind of an evisceration. It's like, along with the idea of giving women equal access to employment and education and all other legal rights, the feminists took it too far, or took it off track into the idea of denigrating womanhood, denigrating the idea of wholesome, healthy relationships between men and women. So one lie the left has pushed. In fact, the reason I'm doing this story, and by the way, there's an article I located today. I just was reading about it. This woman who wrote a book 20 years ago about feminism and raising children, but she had an article out today. And these are kind of lies of the left, and they play into the larger picture of the left always being about control. But the lies of the left that you hear connected with feminism, one is that women don't need men. It's this idea that, women are just, men are kind of irrelevant. Women don't need them. They're just an irrelevant attachment to your life. And they're kind of actually a hassle half the time. And so we can just be women together, and who needs men? That's unwholesome, unhealthy. The relationships, the healthy, normal relationships between men and women are truly a blessing to men and women. Another one is when men and women are the same, or gender is a social construct, and it's not. Contrary to the LGBTQ and transgender advocacy groups, actually, men and women are different. They're different from the moment of conception. They are different, and they're intended to be different, and that's okay. It's a good thing. Gender is not a construct. It is a physical fact. Third, the biological clock isn't real. This is another lie of feminism that has encouraged women to push their careers and move. And I practice law. I can tell you about this in a moment if I get a chance, but the biological clock isn't real is another argument. Encouraging women, go ahead, all these great ways we have now, you can use all sorts of kind of modern medical miracles to push your childbearing years later, and push your career, and get out there and be successful, and don't worry about that biological clock. A lot of women, and I will say, I've encouraged women, I do encourage women to go to law school, women to go to whatever, medical school, whatever they want to go to. I'm in favor of women being educated, but the lie the left has been, don't worry about it, that, the biological clock isn't real, but actually it is. It actually is. And women who actually hope to have a family someday have been duped a bit by the left in thinking that they can kind of pursue their career until they're 45 or 50 and then think about kids. And life is different at that point. Last one, and this is one I'll kind of close with in this segment, is the lie of the left is a career is more meaningful than marriage and children. I have to tell you, folks, my husband and I are both lawyers. We met in a law firm. We got married, kept practicing law. We had our first kid. I had a really big struggle in my heart about whether to go back to work or stay home, because I actually like practicing law and I like being a mom, and I struggle with it for a while. I think women do. I think one of the most profound ways to respect women and truly treat them as competent and equal is to talk to them about the idea that, it's actually fulfilling. First of all, to respect them means whatever they choose is valid. If they choose to stay home, it's a wonderful thing. That's what I chose. I dropped out of the practice of law and raised our kids. No regrets here. But other women chose to go back to work. I'm really getting the idea, though, that feminism tries to degrade the value of mothering and raising children. And our society is feeling the impact of that and will continue to feel the impact as we denigrate the value of families in our country. So, as I say, I'm just kind of putting my toe in the water on this topic. I'll be talking more and more about culture and family, because it really does matter, and the kind of country America becomes. And the last point on this, before I turn to why these matter to you, is this. When family structure breaks down, when more and more, which it did beginning with the Great Society, there is just overwhelming proof. As the federal government began funding families and the Great Society started paying money into families, the breakdown of the nuclear family unit happened. You can parallel it. Chart after chart shows it. The more the government stepped in and took the place of the breadwinner, the more families became mom and kids and no dad in sight. And that has hurt kids in thousands of ways we've talked about in the show before. But the left benefits from their denigration of family and the structure of family. They denigrate it by family by, once everyone in the country knew that the social programs under the Great Society were actually destroying family, this didn't bother the left at all. In fact, all they ever do is increase it. The point is this: when you have people who are not connected in a family, who are more vulnerable, who don't have income, that worry about income, they're more dependent on the government. The government loves this. The less involved nuclear families are, parents are in raising children, passing on their values, passing on their faith, teaching their children about what's right and wrong and virtue and marriage and faith. The less the family does that, the more the role has opened up for the public schools and the government to do that. Leftists who want to control what people think benefit as families break down.